Hey everybody, it's been a while since you've seen my face. I've had that super awesome new mom exhaustion glow going on, so I've been kind of hiding it for a little bit, but still, exhausted new mom, but I actually feel like a normal human being today, so I wanted to do a video for y'all as kind of a call to action. This is spurred on by my oldest daughter, actually, who is 9 years old, and when she was 8, she started baking. And this is something that I, as a homeschooling mom, have taught my kids since they were real little. I actually, fun fact, I used to be a baker at a restaurant. I did all the cakes and desserts and all the fun stuff. And so it's something that my kids have seen me do. And it's also one way that I have taught my kids measurements, dozen, half dozen, fractions, the whole 9 yards, like just teaching them all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we have like book lessons that teach that too, but I like to make it practical and how it's used in everyday life. So we do homeschool with baking as well. So this is something my oldest daughter has always really enjoyed. Even when she was even much younger, she really enjoyed baking. But when she was 8 years old, she actually made her first cake for a friend of ours here in Oklahoma. And it was actually a pretty like elaborate cake. Her and I talked about the ideas, the designs. It was for a little boy. It was his third birthday, and he really likes tractors and equipment, like all the stuff that little boys like. I have a little boy now, but he's like this big, so he's not into that stuff yet. Um, but we did a cake, like basically a construction type cake, where like part of the cake was dug out and she used crushed Oreos to look like dirt and stuff like that. It was really great. And so that kind of started her kick on wanting to bake and make money. My oldest daughter is very much so money motivated. She likes making money and she likes buying her own stuff. So there's that. So in September of last year, she actually decided to do this a little bit more of as an actual job. And it was after my first trimester in my pregnancy. And if you've seen my mom guilt video, it kind of explains that a little bit better. But basically, my oldest daughter, during my first trimester of my pregnancy, became a huge help in our family. She's always been a huge help, but she became an even bigger help in our family because she started having to do a lot of the stuff that I normally would have done because I was so sick in my first trimester. So a lot of the cooking and just cooking in general, like dinners and stuff like that, she started doing. And this is with a camper stove. We're still living in a camper, and it is propane. So this is her working with the gas and turning it on and lighting it and, having the flame and everything else. She's always been really responsible. So it's, we taught her how to do it. And so she was very good about it, and she still does it. Well, in this time period, she learned how to bake a lot better. She became a lot more confident in it. She also became a lot more confident in her reading, and she now is reading all her recipes, and she knows how to do all her measurements for her quarter cup, half cup, third cup, and having them, doubling them, everything else. And so that was a time period where she really learned how to bake. She wanted to do business out of it, and I had initially told her prior to the first trimester of my pregnancy that I would absolutely love to help her start this. But at the same time, I was, even before I was pregnant, mom of three. I was working outside of the home at the time, somewhat, part-time. We have a homestead, there's typical chores and stuff like that. There wasn't a lot of time for me to dedicate to standing there and basically watching her, making sure she did this stuff properly. Well, guess what? I don't have to do any of that now. Like, I don't even have to turn the oven on anymore. She knows how to do all this stuff, and she does it properly. And so she started in September her own little, cottage industry type baking business. And the kid's done well, like really well. Like, she just put out her new menu. And this is something that I have been working on with her as somebody who's worked in several restaurants before. Obviously, somebody who was a baker. This isn't just her by herself. Baking is completely her by herself. But when it comes to managing her money and setting aside for long-term savings, short-term savings, setting aside for business, tithe, everything else, you're spending money, that's stuff that I'm working with her on. And so the business side of it, I am helping her with, but at the same time, I let her have her own ideas. I let her come up with her own ideas. She has bi-monthly specials that she puts out on her menu. She has like the menu that she always has, like stuff that's available all the time. She has bi-monthly specials. So every 2 months, the specials change basically. And so she's come up with those ideas on her own, though. Every time a new special comes out, those are ones that she's found on her own, either through a cookbook or her and I looking through like recipe ideas online and stuff like that. She's actually also come up with recently her own recipes completely on her own, and has added those to her menu. The call to action here is me saying to you, what are you waiting for? What is something that you're really, really wanting to do, but you are telling yourself it's not the right time, I'm not in the right space, I don't have the right stuff, I don't have blah, 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 blah. What are you talking yourself out of, basically? Because, and this isn't be like, my 9-year-old's so awesome. I mean, she is awesome. But here's my thing. My 9-year-old, she's 9. She wants to have her own storefront by the time she's 15. She's working towards that. She wants to save up. She wants a Jeep as her first vehicle. Guess what? She's got $120 saved up towards a Jeep, and she's going to be making a lot more here soon because she just put out a new menu and sold almost $300 worth of stuff in less than 24 hours. So, there's that. But what are you waiting for? We live in a camper. Y'all, camper stoves are this big. Like, camper ovens are this big. She is baking cupcakes by the half a dozen. But she still does it. Like, it's super time intensive. She can't bake anything over like 11 by 9. But she still figures it out for custom orders. And she still, for a friend's birthday party, for their son, she made 4 dozen cupcakes. Baking them. Half a dozen at a time. But she had the patience for it because she wanted to make the money. So here's the thing. You're not going to always have the right circumstances or the right places or the right stuff, that everything's not going to necessarily align perfectly for you. This child, we're super limited on what we can do. And she is still plugging through, moving along, saving money, buying stuff because she has her spending money too. She bought $150 cowboy boots all on her own a few months ago because she had saved up enough money. There was a pair of cowboy boots in the store she wanted, and I told her, if you want those, you're gonna buy them yourself, because I don't buy boots that big for kids whose feet keep growing and growing and growing, or buy boots that expensive. And so guess what? She saved up and she bought her $150 pair of boots that she absolutely loves. So, and we bought them a little bit bigger too, so they last her a little bit longer. But here's the thing, guys. You have to start somewhere. You have to start. It may not be the best circumstances. It may not be with a perfect, she doesn't have some gourmet kitchen that she's working out of or anything like that. You may not have all the cool, fancy stuff that you think you need for whatever you're wanting to do. But guess what? You can still do it. I have friends who started businesses out of their barns. I recently started a business out of a camper. Like, like, it's one of those things that, like, you start where you can. If you really have a goal or a calling or a drive to do something, some kind of business, start small. My father-in-law has owned a mowing business for like 30 some odd years now. I think we're approaching 30-ish, 31 years, something like that. He's owned a lawn business for forever. And it's been a very successful lawn business. And guess what? I'm pretty sure he started with a push mower and a rake and like a little blower. Like, it's one of those things. You can start small. You don't need to outrun your headlights when you first start, but you have to start. So think about the things you actually absolutely need. So my daughter has bought different kind of pants. She's bought, the parchment paper, the cupcake holders, the big muffin pans and the little muffin pans and the, this, that, and the other thing. We have quite this array of baking stuff in a camper. I'm running out of space underneath my oven, y'all, for all her baking stuff. We have a drawer in our camper now that I have rearranged things so it can be dedicated specifically for all her baking utensils. And it's one of those things that we started small. We started with the stuff that we already had. You know, we had like one of those little like hand mixers. We started with that. And guess what? A friend of ours gave my oldest daughter one of those really nice, like KitchenAid, like super sturdy with the bread thing on it. Like, I don't even know all this stuff. Like, one of the really super nice KitchenAid mixers that's standing, because she got herself a nicer one. So she gave to my daughter her older one that she was no longer using. Well, guess what? That thing's way better than the little handheld mixer my daughter was using. And now my daughter can do more bread type things versus before she was limited. So it's one of those things, you start with what you have, you work with what you have, you be thankful for what you have, and you just start and you move forward and you build your business and you grow. And you take it step by step, by little step by little step. And there may be times where God's like, hey, I'm going to like propel you way ahead now, and you're going to move a lot faster than I thought you were going, than you thought you were going to. And there may be times where you literally just move forward a little bit by a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. And for right now, that's my daughter. She's moving forward. She's saving money and everything else. We're building up more utensils for her and everything, little bit by little bit by little bit. She's learning what it's like to start this process and do this process and be responsible about it. And that's the thing too, you have to be responsible about it. You have to make sure that you're not, there are some businesses, yes, like you're doing lumber, you know, like there's some big, you know, you're cutting down trees like behind me, you're doing stuff like this. There's a lot of I get there's a lot of expenses that go into that. But at the same time, you don't necessarily start by buying the, you know, 90, 80,000 whatever dollar piece of equipment when you have no experience. You start by getting experience and learning and cutting trees down for friends and seeing if it's even something you like, you know, and working up to the point where you're then getting the larger equipment because you have much larger jobs that you're being hired to do than just cutting down one tree for your friends. So I guess my thing, like I said, is what are you waiting for? What's holding you back? Probably yourself. So stop holding yourself back. Start thinking about the basic bare bones things that you need to get started in whatever you want to do. Think about that and start moving forward. Even if it's just research what you're wanting to do, and then start getting better ideas and figuring things out, because guess what? Research helps a lot in the oh shoot moments when you know, realize you didn't learn something that you're supposed to and now you're stuck in a hole because you've gone too fast. But it's just something to think about, guys. I'm obviously very, very proud of my oldest daughter. She will absolutely own a business by the time she's 15. I have no, well, she already owns a business, but I mean like storefront kind of business. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. The kid's super motivated, and, you know, it's cool. It's cool to see her doing this. And like I said, I'm proud of her for doing this. I'm proud of her for sticking with it. And I'm proud of her for not giving up when she's had failures, because she has had some. And so that's something you have to think about too, guys. Get your mind in the right space. It's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be failures. There's going to be setbacks and stuff like that. But at the same time, you learn from those, you grow from those as a business owner, and you move on and you make things better. So don't hold yourself back. If there's something that you're really wanting to start doing, start. The hardest thing to do is start, and just do it. Just start, guys. I hope and I pray that whatever you want to do, you do start on. And I'd love to hear how it goes. If there's something that you have started on recently, I'd love to hear about it in the comments section, especially if it's a new business. That's super cool. I love supporting business owners, small business owners. So that's just kind of my thing, y'all. Hope y'all have a great day. I'm going to go back to being mom of a newborn again, but I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.